Hello everybody, this is Michelle at michellesizemore.com, and that has one L in my first name for the website link. I'm a Creative Memories advisor, and today you'll learn how to make this border using Creative Memories products. The tools that I used are the Balloon and Stars border punch, which is this. I also used a square punch, and I used my 12-inch trimmer, and I used the Scallop Blade and the straight blade that go with the trimmer. And I used a repositionable tape runner, and then I also had to use some micro scissors just to clean up some little pieces. Sometimes I have to do that, sometimes I don't. Okay, I'm going to set all this aside and show you first how to make the squares. And literally all I did is punch them out with this punch right here. I will show you the colors that I used. This is from the Birthday Bonanza collection. I used these colors, and then I used a piece of green cardstock and a piece of white cardstock. Okay, to show you how to do the squares, it's really easy. I'll do a yellow one. You just place your paper inside the slot right here. I want to get as close to the adjacent cutout as I can so that I don't waste my paper. And then I want to make sure my paper goes all the way in and it's like level with the end of the inside of this punch so that I'll get a good cut. And I punch and I have a square. So I did squares out of these three colors so that they could alternate. I did enough, like 2 or 3 of each one, to alternate them. And I've already cut out the other ones, so I'll just show you how I mounted them. And I mounted them on a strip of cardstock that's 1.5 inches. I'll show you how to get that. This is my 12-inch trimmer, and I want to cut a strip 1.5 inches. So that would be right, excuse me, I'm trying to grab a tool here. This is the 1-inch mark, so the 1.5-inch mark is right there. And the reason I chose 1.5 inches, the squares that punched out were about 1 3/4 inches. So I wanted my white piece to be a little bit smaller because I'm going to mount the squares on it, and I didn't want the white to stick past the squares. So I'm going to put this in, line it up with that 1.5-inch mark, make sure it's straight at the top, make sure it follows this grid line all the way down. There's a dark black line here, and then close it and hold it in place and just cut with my straight blade. And that's how I got my 1.5-inch strip of cardstock. You could use any color, really. I just chose white. Actually, since I'm just doing a demo, this is a scrap from the cover for a kit that I had. So I'm just using up that because I'm not actually mounting this one in my book. Okay. So you know how to cut the strip of paper, you know how to cut your squares. So now I'm going to look at this and mount my squares according to the same color pattern. So I've got a yellow one that I already cut. Now on this, I'm going to put some tape runner in the middle, maybe about 2 little strips of tape runner down the middle. And I'm going to mount this at the end. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do a different one because that one is not the right size. It was from a previous thing that I did and I had to cut it. Okay, so now I'm going to mount this right here flush with the edge of that white piece of cardstock. And as you can tell, there's a little bit hanging over the top and bottom so that this white does not show. Next, I'm going to use the pink. Put a little bit of tape runner here and here down the middle. And just mount that so that it is next to that yellow one and that none of the white shows in between or the top or the bottom. Next, we're going to do blue. This one I will do horizontally. Sometimes when the patterns are directional like this, I like to alternate them to make it more interesting. These are not directional, so it doesn't really matter. You'll see what I mean in just a sec. Here we go. Here's another yellow one. Put a couple of strips of tape runner here. Mount it down. Now that's hanging down a little bit too low. I like that. Make sure no white is showing in between. And then I need a pink one. A couple strips of tape runner. Make sure no white shows. Then I need a blue one. Tape runner. Now that's horizontal, so I'm going to make this one vertical. Make sure none of the white shows in between. And then I need one more yellow square. So I will punch one out here. Put my paper in there. Kind of get as close to that adjacent piece as I can. Make sure it's all the way down here and punch. And then I have that. Put a little tape runner on the back of that and mount it right there. Now I will have to cut a little bit off that edge because it's too long, but I'll do that later. And I like that. Now I need to mount that just a little bit better. Sometimes you have to add a little bit extra tape runner, which is fine. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is to get my scalloped edges. So I'm going to grab my 12-inch trimmer right here. Now, I'm going to make sure on this that I put my scallop blade in here, and I want the logo to it facing my right, and there's a reason for that, which I'll show you in just a second. So you just put it in, curvy side down, the logo's facing my right, pop the top down, and open your arm, and grab your green cardstock. Here we go. I needed one with a straight edge. Okay, I want to cut these. It really does not matter because these are going to be tucked underneath the squares. So it doesn't matter how big it is, but I just want to use just a little bit so I don't waste my cardstock. I'm going to put it at about 1/2 inch. 1/4 of an inch, I mean. Well, let me, hang on, yeah. About 1/4 of an inch. And then line it all the way up with that grid mark and cut my scallop. Now, the reason I wanted my scalloped edge facing the left is because I wanted the scallop to be like this, like a true scallop. If I had done it facing the right, it would be more like a little wave. So that's why it matters which way you face your scallop blade. Now I'm going to cut one more. Put it at about the same spot. Follow that grid line all the way down. And again, it could be bigger or, I mean, it could be bigger than this. It doesn't matter, but I'm just doing it as small as possible to save cardstock. Okay, so now I have my 2 strips of green. Now I'm going to flip this over and just put some repositionable tape runner in little dabs all the way down one edge. And I want to mount that on top of this green so that just a little bit of that green is poking out the edge so it creates the look of a scallop edge to it. Okay, woo, girls, I did the side I didn't put tape runner on. That wasn't the brightest, but here we go. Let's do it. Here's my tape runner. All right, so I'm going to do that again. Learn from my mistakes. I make plenty, but that's okay because this is fun. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. Now, notice that I am going to have to cut this much off of here. So I'm going to start, this is where I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to start my scallop edge. I'm flipping this around, y'all. Let me just go ahead and cut this off. That will make it easier to help explain this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that extra off, and then I'll have it flush with the cardstock. Clean it up just a little bit. Okay, now it doesn't matter. So I'm going to let about as much show past this edge as I did the other one. There we go. Now it does bug me that this yellow one right here is a little bit off center, and then this blue one, there's a little bit of that white showing through. This is why I like the repositionable tape runner. If you notice something like that, you can just pick it up and fix it. I'm actually going to overlap that just a tad on the pink so that you don't see the white. And here we go. There we go. And then I'm going to, that made me need to change this just a little. So again, this just shows why it's so great to use the repositionable tape runner. If you make a mistake, clean it up. And then now I'm going to trim off my edges. And I have a nice border. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is take this blue paper, and it has a subtle pattern to it too. It's from the Birthday Bonanza collection as well. And then I'm going to take my Balloons and Stars border punch, put my paper inside the slot right there, start at that black, there's a black line right there, that's where I need to start my paper. So put it in, start my paper at the black line, make sure it's straight on this edge right here, and punch. Move away my scraps. Then I'm going to move this down just a little bit. And see where this is blue? That carries on the pattern. I want to cover it up with what I just cut out so you don't see any blue, and that means it's in the right spot to do your next punch. So my paper's in here. I match it up with the pattern. Make sure it's straight here. Hold it down and punch. And then I would do the same thing, match up my pattern, hold it straight, punch all the way down until I got a 12-inch border. And I've already done one to save a little bit of time. And it's right here. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece of cardboard, flip it over, grab my repositionable tape runner, wipe away my scraps, and just gently put some dabs on each little piece. When you're working with your designer paper, it's thinner than cardstock, so you need to be a little more gentle with it so it doesn't bend on you. So I'm just being a little more gentle than I would be with my cardstock. There we go. And then all I do is take this and mount it down. Kind of gentle, press down as I go. Okay, and then I have my border. Now there are a couple of little pieces that I need to stick down a little bit better. As I see they're sticking up just a little bit, just put some more down there. And also this hangs over right here over the edge, so I'm going to clean that up just a little bit, get that little excess balloon off there. Okay, and then I have my border. So easy to make, and you could jazz this up if you want to, because this Birthday Bonanza collection comes with cute stickers and die cuts. You could always add like a little saying that says like happy birthday, and add like a little cake and a party hat or something if you want, like in the corner or in the middle, whatever you like. But I like this just like it is. It's got plenty of color, and I didn't really want to add any more stickers. I hope you like that and learn how to use our tools. And once you know how to use our tools, I mean, we have a gazillion of these. And, you know, once you know how to use one, you can use all of them. They work the same way. Thank y'all so much for watching my video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.